I'm dealing with a messy situation at work involving a married coworker who wouldn't stop flirting with me despite my clear rejections. I ended up reporting her to HR, and she was fired. Now her husband contacted me to confirm my side of the story because she lied to him about the events. We work at the same company, and her desk is right across from mine. We're both married, and lately we'd been chatting more frequently, but it was always casual things like weekend plans, funny videos, or random topics. I get along well with most people at the office, except for Carl, who's notorious for taking credit for others' work. Our conversations were light and friendly. She started texting me, saying she was surprised by how effortlessly we connected and how much she enjoyed our talks. I responded positively, saying I felt the same and that she was pleasant to talk to. Last week, my car was at the mechanic for brake issues, and since she lives just a couple of blocks from me, I asked her for a ride home. While stuck in traffic, we were chatting as usual, and she brought up how much she enjoyed our conversations. I agreed, thinking nothing of it since I have plenty of female friends, and this seemed normal. Then she mentioned how interesting it was that we could have differing opinions yet still get along so well. I nodded along, not thinking much of it. That's when things took a strange turn. She confessed that she was starting to see me differently and admitted she was attracted to me, placing her hand on my thigh. I thanked her for the compliment, acknowledged that she's kind and attractive, but firmly stated that we're just colleagues, both married, and that I wasn't interested in anything more. The rest of the drive was painfully silent. When I got home, she kept texting, going on about how well we connected and how she was struggling in her marriage. She also started liking a ton of my old Instagram photos. I responded politely but firmly, suggesting she focus on fixing things at home rather than pursuing this. At this point, I thought she was acting irrationally, and since we work in a small company of about 55 people, I wanted to keep things professional and avoid drama. She insisted it wasn't just physical attraction and admitted she was jealous of my wife's posts with me on Instagram. This was a major red flag. She then suggested meeting up after work or during lunch to talk things over. I haven't told my wife about this yet because she's been incredibly stressed with her job and family issues. I didn't want to burden her with this, so I'm turning to the wise folks of Reddit for advice. How do I handle this situation to prevent this coworker from escalating things further and causing issues at work or in my marriage? Wives of Reddit, would you want to know about this if you were my wife, or would you prefer I handle it quietly? My current plan is to reiterate that I'm not interested, keep interactions minimal and professional, and gradually reduce contact until things return to normal coworker dynamics. Update, thank you all for the advice. It really helped me navigate this situation, as it was my first time dealing with something so direct. I followed your suggestions and sat down with my wife the next day to tell her everything. I showed her the text messages and explained the situation in detail. She was worried, not angry, and expressed concern that this coworker could jeopardize my career or cause me stress. I told her I'd report the issue to my boss and HR, which I did the following day. I arrived at work early, arranged a meeting with HR and my boss, and jokingly warned them to brace for a soap opera. My boss looked nervous, later admitting he thought I was going to resign. I laid out the entire situation, showed them the messages, and requested that my coworker be moved to another desk. I also asked them to address her behavior to stop the harassment. They listened attentively, asked clarifying questions, and assured me they'd handle it. Later, I heard my coworker's phone ring. She glanced at me suspiciously before heading to HR. I avoided eye contact and stayed focused on my work, as I was preparing for a business trip to Mexico City the following week. About an hour later, she returned in tears, grabbed her things, and left. My boss called me in to explain what happened. They had confronted her with my report, and she put on a dramatic display, claiming she was in love with me and was fighting for what she believed in. HR and my boss dismissed her excuses, told her to keep things professional, and warned that failure to comply could lead to termination. She chose to quit instead, so she no longer works here. It's been 2 weeks, and things have been calm since then. I'm relieved to have my peaceful work life back. Thanks again for helping me think clearly through this mess. Edit 1. I know this subreddit typically allows only one update, and I waited 15 days to share this, but something significant came up. Mods, please let me know if this edit isn't allowed. I got a call from my coworker's husband. Apparently, she was upset all weekend and finally told him on Monday why she was fired. He didn't believe her story because it was inconsistent, so he called the company to get clarity and then reached out to me to confirm the facts. I explained everything and offered to show him the messages. We're meeting in an hour at a coffee shop near the office. He seemed hurt but rational. I informed my boss, HR, and my wife about the meeting, and my boss offered to come with me. I feel grateful to be surrounded by supportive people. Edit 2, I just got back from meeting my coworker's husband. It was quick and straightforward. I arrived with my boss, and the husband was already there. I showed him the messages on my phone and answered his questions about what happened. He explained that he wanted to be certain because she had deleted all her messages. He mentioned this wasn't the first time something like this had happened and apologized for the situation. He noted that she had been seeing a therapist but stopped recently. I made it clear I didn't want any involvement, wished him well, and left. He apologized again as I walked away. I was surprised by how calm he was, possibly because they've dealt with similar issues before. I'm just glad this didn't turn into more drama. Hopefully this is the end of it. Thanks for all the support and guidance. Second story. My half-brother's stepmom falsely claimed the school banned me from picking him up because of my facial piercings. When I contacted the school, they confirmed she made it all up. I'm a 17-year-old female with a half-brother who's 8. We share the same mom but have different dads. I don't see him often since he lives primarily with his dad, Jeff. Jeff is married to Amelia, who has 3 kids from a previous relationship and 2 more with Jeff. None of their kids can drive. Amelia doesn't like me because she associates me with my mom, with whom she had a falling out after my mom dated Amelia's abusive brother. Amelia called my mom a liar, and I don't push for a relationship with her, so we barely interact. I only see my brother for special occasions like birthdays and have no connection with his step or half-siblings. I live close to his school, and though I'm not fond of kids, I've picked him up a few times when Amelia couldn't, and Jeff's work schedule doesn't allow it. This happened last May. I have an alternative style, dyed hair and several facial piercings, and I'm used to kids asking questions or staring, but it's never been an issue since I usually stay in my car for pickups. One day, my brother was sick and needed to be picked up early. Jeff asked me to get him, and since I wasn't busy, I agreed. It was my first time entering the school, but I was on the approved pickup list, so it went smoothly. I got my brother from the nurse and dropped him off at home without any problems. The next day, Amelia called me out of the blue. I didn't even know she had my number. I ignored her calls at first, but she kept calling and then accused me of getting her in trouble with the school. She claimed a child in the nurse's office was scared of me and that other kids asked questions when I walked by classrooms. She said my brother's teacher contacted her and asked that I not pick him up anymore because of my appearance. I don't think this is even allowed, as it feels discriminatory based on my looks. I caused no disruption and only interacted with the secretary, nurse, and kids in the nurse's office. Amelia said the teacher agreed I could pick him up if I removed my piercings, but I refused. I have multiple piercings and taking them out is a hassle. About an hour to remove and reinsert them, especially with my long nails. I told her it's not practical, especially since I rarely go inside the school. She insisted it wasn't a big deal, but I felt disrespected by the teacher's alleged request. Amelia claimed the teacher was protecting her students and that I was unfairly blaming her. I was offended as I'm not a threat, just someone with an alternative style. For context, I was wearing casual black sweatpants and a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shirt, nothing inappropriate. Amelia then said this was why she didn't want me around her kids, even though I've never asked to be around them since I don't like kids. I told her to lose my number and find someone else to pick up my brother. She kept yelling, comparing me to my mom, so I hung up and blocked her. Since then, I've only seen my brother a couple of times, communicating through Jeff. I told Jeff I didn't care about his opinion since he has no authority over me. The issue wasn't brought up again until recently. With school starting next week, Jeff called and said Amelia wanted me to resume picking up my brother. I refused, reminding him of the last incident. He got aggressive, saying it wasn't a big ask. I explained it was about how Amelia treated me, not the task itself. He tried guilt-tripping me, saying my brother would feel hurt if I refused to be around him, and threatened to bar me from my brother's upcoming birthday. I said I didn't care about the birthday since I'm not into kids, and could see my brother another time. Jeff then said he'd prevent me from seeing my brother unless I apologized to Amelia and agreed to pick him up. I countered that I'd only do it if Amelia apologized to me, then hung up. This is tricky because I could see my brother during my mom's visitation, but I'm currently not speaking to her, so I'd need to break our temporary no contact to arrange it. I live with my dad and grandma who don't get along with my mom. She hasn't been allowed in their house since I was 12. They think I should just apologize to Amelia, but I don't want to. My brother and I aren't super close, but we have a good bond, and I don't want to risk it over Amelia's behavior. He enjoys spending time with me, especially since I'm his only sister, and all of Amelia and Jeff's kids are boys. AITA for refusing to pick up my brother until Amelia apologizes. Edit. Some comments seemed confused due to the post's length, so to clarify, I'm a girl, unrelated to Jeff or Amelia. My brother and I share a mom, but we live with our respective dads, his being Jeff. Amelia is Jeff's wife, my brother's stepmom. I don't live with them. I'm taking the advice to call the school and ask if there's a policy against picking up my brother due to my piercings. Depending on the school's response and Amelia's reaction, I'll either resolve things with her or reach out to my mom to see my brother during her visitation. Thanks for the help. Comments where Op replied. Comment 1, NTA. Amelia's being manipulative and entitled. Stand your ground. Have you called the school to verify her claims? The reaction she described sounds exaggerated. Stares or curiosity, sure, but kids running to the teacher in fear. That seems like a stretch. Could Amelia be lying or embellishing? Op. I didn't consider calling the school because I had no reason to doubt Amelia, given how little we interact. The reaction did seem dramatic, though I've had a kid cry at my appearance once when I was in extreme makeup. I'll look into it. Comment 2, call the school. She's probably lying. Schools don't discriminate over piercings anymore. Many teachers have them. Amelia's stirring drama for her own reasons. Demand a written apology on social media and share her messages to expose her. Op. Would the school even have records of this since it was months ago? I'm thinking of calling when the school year starts, but I'm not sure it's worth the effort. Comment 3, it's not about the school taking action, it's about knowing the truth. I'd bet Amelia's lying or exaggerating. I can't imagine it happened exactly as she said. Op. Fair point, but how would the school verify this? Would they check footage or ask the teacher, who might deny it or say they don't recall? I don't want to bother them over a personal issue. Comment 4, info, how many piercings do you have? You mentioned being alternative, so they might be numerous even if not extreme. Op. I have snake bites, vertical and horizontal eyebrow piercings, 2 nostril piercings, septum, smiley, tongue, angel bites, dahlias, anti-eyebrow on both sides, and a bridge piercing. It's a public school, not private, and I'm not a student, so I don't see how they could ban me for this. Comment 5, info, you didn't mention your issues with your mom, but could you tell her Jeff and Amelia are blocking you from seeing your brother? Could you visit him during her custody time? Op. I initiated the no contact with my mom so I could reach out, but she's on shaky ground with Jeff and Amelia regarding custody. I can still text my brother when he's with her, but he's on the spectrum, so I'm not sure he'd fully grasp why I can't see him now. Update. Sorry for the delayed update. I've been busy with my first semester of AP classes. I followed the advice and emailed the school to ask if there was a policy banning me from pickups due to my piercings. As many of you predicted, they said no such policy exists. I explained why I was asking, and they said they'd look into the incident with the teacher, but noted they couldn't intervene if Amelia removed me from the pickup list. I gave them my number and asked for a follow-up. The next day, the school called and said the teacher confirmed some classmates stared and asked questions when I stood in the doorway waiting for my brother to gather his things from the nurse's office. But she never told Amelia I couldn't pick him up. I called Jeff, shared what the school said, and reiterated that I'd only pick up my brother if Amelia apologized or acknowledged her lie. He said Amelia would call me, so I unblocked her. She called and gave a half-hearted apology, mentioning she's pregnant again as an excuse. I let it go because I don't want to hurt my relationship with my brother over this. But today, when I picked him up, he asked why I have so much metal in my face. He's never commented on my piercings unless I got a new one, so I asked why he brought it up. Apparently, one of Amelia's older sons wanted to get his ears pierced, and she blamed me, even though I never interact with her kids. She's been complaining about my piercings around my brother, possibly trying to get him to say they bother him. I asked if they scared him, and he said no, he doesn't think about them. Frustrated but not wanting to upset my brother, I changed the subject. Instead of dropping him off and leaving, I told Amelia I wanted to talk. She said it wasn't a good time, but I insisted, so we spoke on her porch. I told her if my piercings were an issue, She could find someone else to pick up my brother, but I'd appreciate it if she stopped bad-mouthing me to her family. She said what she says in her home is her business, but I countered that it's my business when she's trying to turn my brother against me. She reluctantly agreed to stop after I warned that I'd stop pickups and only see my brother during my mom's visitation if it happened again. She was annoyed but agreed, then slammed the door as I left. This should be my final update. I'll tolerate Amelia to maintain my relationship with my brother, as I don't care about her drama and have enough going on. I'll keep communication with her and Jeff minimal. Thanks for all the support.